Hey everyone, this is Rich Lemon from VSG 101, Relearning How to Cook. And I said a few days ago that I would talk to you about my experience going to Blossom Bariatrics. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today is Sunday the 15th or 16th of January. I had my surgery on Tuesday the 11th, so I've been home for about four days now, and I feel awesome. Going through the surgery, you're very nervous going through the surgery and it gets the best of you, but as soon as it's over, it's such a freeing feeling. I went grocery shopping today, and to be able to walk through the aisles and not have that nagging feeling of always wanting everything you see, and finally being in control. Like, I feel like food finally doesn't have control over me. I know it's been a few days, but I have no hunger, and I'm having a couple shakes a day. I'm about halfway through this one, and it takes me, maybe a half hour or 45 minutes to finish one. And you're not drinking it because it tastes really good and you're starving. You're kind of drinking it because you know that you have to have something. For the last couple days, I've been consuming about 350 calories. These are 160 calories, so I've been doing 2 of these a day, and then drinking water. I've had absolutely no problem drinking water since the day after surgery. I was able to drink water without any problem, and I've been drinking 64 ounces a day every day. I've been going for walks every day, going for about an hour-long walk. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk to you today about the process of going through Blossom Bariatrics. My company's insurance didn't cover bariatric surgery for me, so I decided to pay cash and do it myself. And with that, I decided just to search the country and find who had good surgery and a good reputation and where the clients were happy. And that led me to Blossom. From the minute you contact them, you get assigned a client relation specialist who will work with you throughout the entire process. They're really, really helpful. If you're going through insurance, they'll take care of all the insurance needs for you. Again, I didn't need to, so I just went ahead and did it myself. They schedule your flight. They book a hotel for you. They have transportation from the airport to the hotel. And when you get to the hotel, they give you, it's called a goodie bag, but it's just a bag with 2 bottles of water and a protein drink. But it's not what I would call a goodie bag. And they check you in. The next morning, your driver picks you up at the or at the hotel. They text you and say that they're going to be there at whatever time. They drive you over, and when you get to the facility, you meet with someone who brings you into this small room, hands you a larger bag, and sits down and explains the process you're going to go through for the next 4 days. And then they go through the contents of the bag. And it's a couple protein drinks, it's a couple bottles of water, it's like a measuring tape so that you can start keeping track of your measurements, things like that. And then it's a bunch of instructions and what to expect throughout the next few days. After that, you go in for your EKG and your stress test. And for some reason, everyone stresses out about the stress test because they think they're going to make you get on a treadmill and kind of run till you drop. In fact, it was, you just walk on the treadmill, and she determines, my person determined what your maximum heart rate is based on your height and your weight and everything. And then they get you to 80% of that heart rate. But all they do is they put the machine on an incline and start you walking on the incline, and naturally your heart rate goes up. I was able to talk the entire time. It went for about 9 minutes. And as soon as I reached the 80%, the machine dropped back down and I was done. I barely broke a sweat, so it wasn't bad. Now, I will say that from the day I decided to get the bariatric surgery until that day, I had started walking on my own because I didn't want to be the person who, flatlined on the EKG test. So I was walking for about 30 minutes a day, going up to the point of going to that appointment. So we did that, and then she did the EKG test where they have you lay on a bed and they put this wand on your chest. That was more bothersome than anything because she keeps pushing the wand in this one spot on the bone and it's really uncomfortable, and then they can only rotate it, but they keep pushing. And it goes on for about 10 minutes. And after a while, you just want to say, okay, stop pushing on that one spot. It really is bothering me. It's kind of like somebody sticking their thumb in your chest for a long time. It wasn't painful, it was just annoying. Then after that test, you meet with one of the main doctors, and I met with Dr. Appel. And he sat me down and talked about my results from my work so far, kind of interviewed me to ask me what was bringing me there and, reasons, things like that. We had a discussion and he said, okay, I think you sound like you're doing it for the right reasons and I think it's a good fit. Let's move forward. So then the next day I happened to have off because I flew in on Friday night, had my first appointment, which was about 4 hours, which were all those tests and then meeting with the doctor. At about noon, I finished up. The driver took me back to the hotel and I had Sunday to myself. So I rented a car and went to the Grand Canyon because I had never seen the Grand Canyon. And it was a really nice day. And I wasn't in the headspace to want to go to a casino or anything like that because you can still smoke in the casinos and it's really nasty. So I just went to the Grand Canyon and kind of, took the time to reflect on what was happening and I guess really try and appreciate what was happening and be present in the moment, On Monday morning, the driver picked me up and I went in for, I forgot the name of the test, but they put a tube down your throat so that they can look in your stomach to make sure that there's no ulcers or obstructions or anything like that. They sedate you and you're only sedated for about 10 minutes, but it was the best sleep I've ever had in my life. I woke up and said, this was the best sleep I've ever had. I was dreaming and it was only 10 minutes. And the doctor said that it was the same basic medication that Michael Jackson used to use to sleep. That's what they give you. It's a very light sedation, but you feel so refreshed when you're done with that. So I finished that for the day and I went back to the hotel and again, you're not really eating anything after 8 o'clock at night. So you stop eating, there's not a lot to do basically. So I sat by the pool and I'm from the Northeast. So it was 65 degrees, which felt great for me because today it's 17 degrees and we're getting 2 feet of snow tonight. So I sat by the pool and just read a book and, relaxed, things like that. The next day was my surgery and my surgery was scheduled to be the last surgery of the day, which was at 6:30 in the evening. I woke up in the morning at 5 o'clock because I'm staying on East Coast time so that I, don't get my schedule all wonky. I woke up at 5 o'clock, didn't know if I could have anything to eat or drink, so I just didn't have anything the entire day. And by the time I got to the surgery center at 5:30 at night, I was starving. I was thirsty. And the nurse said, "Oh, you could have had something to drink up until about noon." So, but I was okay. On that last day, the drive for my surgery, one of the drivers, his name was Carl, picked me up. And, you're naturally nervous because you're about to make a change that's going to change who you are for the rest of your life. And he could see I was kind of tense in the back seat, and I was trying to be appreciative of what was going on around me. And he started talking to me about about his experience. He had also gone through the same process about 3 years ago. And for some reason, it really connected me with him and gave me a sense of peace that I was doing the right thing and that somebody else had gone through the same thing. And it sounds ridiculous, but it felt really good to know that there was somebody else who had just experienced what I'm experiencing, and I was trying to be positive and trying to be optimistic. And it was a godsend that he was my driver. I went into the surgery center and they checked me in, and I was sitting on the bed for, an hour or so. And I hear over the curtain, it was Carl. He came back and he was just checking on me. And such a sweet guy. The nurses were so compassionate and so understanding, because I'm sure we all ask the exact same questions. They were all so kind, it really makes you feel good. So I went through the surgery, and I decided not to bring somebody with me because I wanted to do this by myself. So I used the companion care, which they have one of the nurses come to your room with you and stay with you for the night. This girl she was a saint. I don't know how she does this and is as kind as she is. When I woke up from the surgery, the first thing I wanted was water because I hadn't had water since the night before. So the nurse gave me, one of those little bottles of water. I took 3 sips, which I thought were sips, but with the new stomach, they're pretty much gulps, and immediately started throwing up. And she said, sit down, you've got to get this all out of your system. I kept saying something was wrong because my chest burned so much, and they said that's just the gas from the surgery and you've got to work it out of your system. They warn you that the gas is going to hurt. No matter what they tell you, it cannot prepare you for how much this gas is going to hurt, because it felt to me like the doctor had put a coal inside my chest and then sewed my chest shut. I had this burn that I've never, ever felt before in my life. And we got back to the hotel, and for 3 hours, all I could do was retch. And every time I did, the nurse would rub my back, and she's patting my back, telling me it's okay, and this is part of the process, and that I just have to get this gas out. And one thing Carl said to me in the car on the drive over, he said, as soon as you wake up, you're going to say, what the hell have I done? This is the worst decision I've ever made. And sure enough, I woke up and thought, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. He said, it's gonna pass. For the 3 hours that I sat on the edge of my bed, Miriam rubbed my back and, held my hand. And she couldn't have been more compassionate. And the whole time she just kept saying, just focus on your next breath, just focus on your next breath. And that's all I could do because it was so painful. We'd get up and walk, and it's the very, very last thing that you feel like doing is getting up and walking. She'd get me to get up and walk, and she would do this on my back. You know, I'd be standing against the wall and she'd be pounding my back, and these little tiny burps would come up and she'd say, "Oh, that's excellent, keep going." And every time she hit, a little burp would come up and I would feel a little bit better. So after about an hour, I kind of, you know, it clicked. I said, okay, this is probably good that they want you to walk. So I'd say, "Can we go for a walk?" And she would pound my back and I would belch a little bit and we would go for a walk. And after about 3 hours, the pain completely went away. The next morning, I woke up and I walked her out of the hotel, and I went for a walk around the hotel when I went back in. It was amazing how well I felt. So the day after surgery, when after Miriam left, the driver picked me up at 7:15 to go back over to the clinic, and they give you IV with different fluids in it, and, you know, medications and things like that. And the nurse said, "You're gonna feel like 100% after this IV drip." And I'm like, okay, you know. She gave me the drip, and you feel like a brand new person after it's done. It was awesome. A few other people came into the room that were in the same situation that I was in, and we all had these dividers between us, but you could see the person's feet, you know, on both sides of you. And we all started talking, and everybody was saying, "That was the worst night of my entire life." And the women were saying, "That felt worse than childbirth, you know?" But all of us said, "It's so worth it because I feel so good right now." And it was such a short time that you felt that pain that you kind of, you know, went through it and made it, and then you feel really good again. I got my IV, I hung out for the day, and I went for walks, and I sat by the pool and read. It felt like I had just done too many sit-ups. That's all that your stomach felt like when you were done. It's tender to the touch, but it didn't hurt like you'd think it was going to hurt. And I had no hunger at all. And that was so odd because I hadn't eaten anything for days. And I thought, you know, when I'm in the operating room, I'm thinking, I can't wait to get out of here. I've got to have something to eat. I'm starving. No hunger at all. And, you know, it's been 4 or 5 days. My hunger hasn't returned. I got back to the city where I live and went for a walk that evening, and every day I keep feeling better and better. Today I went for an 1.5 hour walk, and then I went shopping for the day for about an hour, and I feel like a brand new person. And for the first time, I feel like I'm in control. And I've waited my whole life to feel that way. Anyway, that's all the mush you're gonna get out of me. I hope this helps somebody, and I look forward to chatting with you again.